Yo, people, what's going on? Emperor of Fiction. Sorry it took me so long to make another discussion video. My internet was out for a while, so I, basically looking hurt. But now it's back, and I'm ready to, start the new year with one of these. And so here we go. From the title, you can probably tell what my video is going to be about. I'm just going to jump right in to the whole Dragon Ball GT canon debate. Because I really feel like, actually, I don't feel like, because this is the case. Dragon Ball GT is canon to the Dragon Ball series. It is canon. And I'm going to talk about both sides, I'm going to talk about why people feel like it's not canon and why it actually is canon. So I'll jump into why people feel like it's not canon first. And one of the reasons why people feel like Dragon Ball GT isn't canon, because that whole Akira Toriyama didn't write it, that's bullshit. That's really bullshit, because Akira, even though he didn't write it, he oversaw all its production and actually made a good bit of concept art for Dragon Ball GT. So yeah, that's why, the whole Akira Toriyama not writing it not being GT not being in the manga, that's really just a bullshit excuse for tards and haters not particularly liking GT. And the reason why they didn't like GT is because the way events in GT transpired weren't to their liking. Like, it wasn't to, it didn't appeal to tards and haters. I'll say that. Yeah, it didn't appeal to them. And yeah, you can argue that, oh, well, GT had, a lot of inconsistencies in the series that didn't consist with Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball, but here's the thing. Of those three series, of the three Dragon Ball series, Dragon Ball Z, and GT has the fewest inconsistencies within its series in contrast to, or in comparison to Z and Ball. So yeah, people, you can't argue that, its inconsistencies outweigh, Z and Ball, because they don't. In fact, the only two that you can argue are inconsistencies of the Dragon Ball series are Vegeta getting nerfed and Bulla, being the character of Bulla, being born. Those are the only two you could really argue, because Bulla, she's roughly around the same age as Trunks. Like, Trunks is like 18 or 19, and she's like 16 or 17. But the thing that makes her inconsistent to the Dragon Ball series is that there was no hint of her actually being born beforehand in Dragon Ball Z. And even if she was, like, say if she was born after the defeat of Majin Buu at the end of Dragon Ball Z, there would be a pretty good age gap between her and Trunks. Like, she'd be like 10 or 12. She'd be basically Pan's age. Like, she'd be Pan's age as opposed to being an adolescent like she is in GT. So those are the only two inconsistencies that you can argue. GT's not canon, but they don't really weigh down GT as much as inconsistencies do in Z and Ball. So, but yeah, that's the main reason why people don't feel like it's canon. It's because, a lot of people that don't are tards and haters, and the reason why they don't consider GT canon is because the events that transpired in GT didn't appeal to them. So I mean, I know a lot of people that like Gohan, and he got nerfed even further than what he was in G, or at the end of Z. Vegeta, he's as popular. I'd argue to say that in some cases, Vegeta's as popular, if not more popular, than Goku himself. But a lot of people did like that he got nerfed. Gohan got nerfed. I know there was some people that liked Trunks and Goten, and Goten's character progression kind of just stunted, like it just stopped. And Trunks, he really got nerfed from what he was mid Z, basically during the whole Android arc. The whole fight with the androids, he got nerfed from that. I know a lot of people wanted to see what Gotenks would look like, how strong he would be in GT, but Goten and Trunks didn't use the fusion in GT, mainly because they didn't want to do the fusion anymore, so a lot of people were disappointed with that. But yeah, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. That's the main reason. And I'd strongly argue that's the only reason why people would argue that GT is not canon. It's because a lot of people that do argue GT is not canon are tards and haters, and the reason why they argue it's not canon is because the events that transpired in GT didn't appeal to them. It didn't work out the way they wanted it to work out. So, now I'm going to jump on the other side. I'm going to jump on why, or actually I'm going to get into why GT is canon, because, there's no arguing, people. There's no arguing GT not being canon. Like, because it is. It just is. And there are a lot of facts and key points that strengthen the argument that GT is canon. One of which is, and this is like the main fact, I said this earlier, Akira Toriyama, while GT wasn't based on it, while GT, some of its elements weren't based on the Dragon Ball series, and its production was solely Toei Animation, Akira Toriyama, he oversaw a lot of its production and even made concept art for it. Beforehand, like before he finished the series, he made concept art for GT. There was this guy before him named, like, I can't think of his name right now. It was like Karatsuya something. I can't think of his name right now. But yeah, that's the main reason why. He oversaw its production and he created concept art for GT. And another thing is that, well, the second reason, the second fact as to why GT is canon is because GT is a continuation of the Dragon Ball series. It's a continuation of, specifically, it's a continuation of Dragon Ball's plot. And what is the plot of Dragon Ball? And what is the plot of the Dragon Ball series? Some of you might ask. Well, it's kind of obvious because, and a lot of people think that, just find the Dragon Balls, turn to Super Saiyan, yada yada. But that's really not the case. The plot of the Dragon Ball series is to tell you, the viewer or reader, the life and adventures of Son Goku. In every major event of the entire Dragon Ball series, of all three Dragon Ball series, in every major event of those series, it's the same thing, that's what in every major event of those series, Son Goku is the key character. He is the key character in every major event. In the Saiyan arc, in the Frieza arc, in the Android arc, and the Majin Buu arc, and all throughout GT, Goku is, well, actually I'm going to go back farther. I'm going to go back in the beginning of Dragon Ball. you know, throughout all of those arcs, and throughout all the arcs in Dragon Ball Z, and throughout all the arcs in Dragon Ball GT, Goku is the key character. In the beginning of Dragon Ball, who is one of the first, like, actual characters you see, other than, you know, of course, Bulma and, you know, some random civilians? The first actual character you see is Son Goku. What is he doing? He's going on about his daily routine, you know, getting some food in the forest, taking a bath, and, you know, all that good stuff. And even in the Android arc, when they were fighting Cell, yeah, Gohan got stronger than Goku, and he got the killing blow on Cell, but it was Goku who led Gohan and the rest of the Z fighters into victory over Cell. It was Goku. Goku, he is the key character of every major event in the Dragon Ball series. He's the key character. And GT is also, it's not only the continuation of Dragon Ball Z. It's not only the continuation of Dragon Ball Z. It's really, it's the sequel also. It's considered the sequel to Dragon Ball Z. And I really feel like, in terms of inconsistencies, it shares a lot more so with Dragon Ball than it does Z. Because, you know, because Dragon Ball and GT, there's such a huge time gap between the two. So yeah, it does share a lot of inconsistencies with GT, or with Ball, but so does Z. Z shares a fair amount of inconsistencies with Ball as well. I can't think of any right now. None are coming to my head right now, but I know for a fact that it does. And, you know, that's really just it. That's really the main thing. I had to, you know, get that out of the way. I had to debunk this logic. Because this whole GT not being canon thing, this really wasn't the case back in the day when I was a kid. When I was a kid, you know, back when I was a kid, you know, I'm a 90s baby, so I grew up through there. But when I was a kid, GT was actually a myth. It was considered a myth and a legend among, like, you know, the general public of my generation. And, you know, it was a damn good one. People were really, really, really hyped for GT. And then when its English adaptation finally came out, and, you know, people were like, yeah, you know, Dragon Ball GT. When that finally came out in America, a lot of people were fairly disappointed. I myself actually being one of them. But GT, although I was disappointed, I was able to notice its key points and its consistencies with the overall Dragon Ball series. At my young age, at like the young age of, like, how old was I when I watched GT? I was like 10, 11, and I was able to see its consistencies in the overall Dragon Ball series, not just its inconsistencies or what I didn't like in Dragon Ball GT. So, you know, I'm done with, you know, debunking that logic. Got that out the way. I'll put some links in the description below. You know, there are facts proving that GT's canon. And if you have a intelligent and, like, reasonable, like, opinion as to why you feel GT's not canon, by all means comment in the section below. But you already know, tards, haters, and trolls, you guys know I get the shaft. I don't acknowledge any of you, so dislike, piss off, walk away. You probably won't be able to resist the urge to, you know, put a retarded comment in the section below, but it's whatever. So I'll put links in the description below proving GT canon, as well as, you know, as always, because these guys do really good with discussion videos and they motivated me to make these, links to the Elite Aces channel, the Elite Aces YouTube channel, and King of Lightning's YouTube channel. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now that I'm done with this, I might jump into the Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece discussions with everybody else, because I'm noticing everybody's doing a lot of those, like King of Lightning and Elite Ace, and Bankai 99, Zoro Fanboy. I'll put links to their channels as well. But yeah, so I'm pretty much done. And if you like the discussion, like, subscribe, do whatever. If you didn't, dislike, piss off, I really don't care. Emperor Fiction, and I'll see you guys later.